Have you ever opened any WhatsApp community messages and suddenly felt your child is already behind? One parent shares an admission webinar, another parent says coaching registrations are closing, a relative says, my daughter has already shortlisted 5 universities. You watch one video saying AI will replace half the jobs, and suddenly your heart becomes heavy. Sometimes your child has not even done anything wrong, but an outside trigger makes you feel your child is already late. You close the phone, but the fear does not close. It enters your next conversation with your child. You ask, have you thought properly about your future? But your child hears, you are already late. Today, let us understand how parent anxiety silently enters career discussions and how to stay calm without becoming careless. Because your worry is valid, but your worry should become a signal to gather evidence, not a signal to pressure your child. And by the end of this episode, I'll give you a simple, calm method to separate facts from fear before your next career conversation. Namaste, I'm Preethi Durga, and today's conversation is for every parent who is trying to stay calm but honestly feels scared. Scared because the world is changing, scared because career options are confusing, scared because admissions feel competitive, scared because every other child seems to be doing something already. So first, let me say this clearly, your fear is not wrong. Your concern is not wrong. The world is competitive. Career decisions do need seriousness. But here is the important question. When you speak to your child, are you speaking from clarity or are you speaking from panic? Because children do not only hear your words, they also feel our tone, our urgency, our facial expressions, our silence, and our repeated questioning. So today we will understand how anxiety travels from parent to child, what happens in the brain when the home feels panicked, and how you can use simple calm methods before your next career conversation with your child. Let me show you a few scenes. Scene 1. Imagine a mother opens the school WhatsApp group at 10:30 at night, right, where other parents are there. There is a message. Important career webinar. Limited seats. Early planning is essential. She was calm 5 minutes ago, but suddenly she's thinking, have we started late? The next morning, while her son is eating breakfast, she asks, are you even taking your future seriously? He looks up and says, why are you suddenly shouting? She says, I'm not shouting, I'm worried. Imagine scene 2. At a family function, someone says, our daughter has already decided her course, country, and university. She will be flying soon. The parent smiles politely, but inside, comparison begins. She is smiling outside, but inside, she is calculating, are we behind? Did I miss something? Am I failing as a parent? On the way home, she tells her child, see, others are already planning. She's already traveling out for her next course. You cannot be so casual. The child hears, I am behind. Scene 3. A father watches a video about AI replacing jobs. By evening, he says to his child, you cannot choose anything randomly now. The future is very uncertain. His daughter was only exploring options, but now she feels one wrong choice and everything will collapse. Imagine scene 4. No one says anything loudly, but the parent keeps checking marks, deadlines, applications, dates, entrance exams, and career videos one after the other. The child senses the tension. Finally, they say, why are you always worried about my future? And the parent feels hurt because from the parent's side, it is care. But from the child's side, it feels like pressure in the air. Why this is important? Because a child should not have to choose a career just to calm the family. When fear becomes the emotional background at home, children may start making decisions to reduce pressure, not to understand themselves. They may choose the safe option just so everyone can be relaxed. They may avoid career conversations because every discussion feels heavy. They may say, I don't know, because they are scared of saying the wrong thing. Or they may rush into a decision because the house feels impatient. And this is where career decisions become fragile, because fear can create movement but not always clarity. A child may fill a form, join a course, pick a stream, agree to prepare for an entrance exam, but inside they may still be confused. And later, when pressure increases, the family again starts wondering, why is motivation dropping? Why is the child not confident? So, before we ask, why is my child unclear, we must also ask, what emotional climate are we creating around this decision? That is why, for this episode, we have created the Calm Career Decision check-in sheet. This is not for the child first. It is for the parent first. Because before we ask the child, what have you decided? We need to ask ourselves, what emotional state am I bringing into this room? This sheet helps you pause before a serious conversation. It helps you identify what triggered my anxiety. Is this fact or fear? Is this, my child's real situation or borrowed pressure from someone else? What evidence do we actually need next? And what is one calm sentence I can use instead of starting with panic? The sheet is built around a simple method, the calm method. Catch the trigger, ask fact or fear, lower the emotional temperature, move to one next step. Let us understand why this matters. Our brain are designed to detect danger very quickly. That is useful when there is real danger. But in career decision, the brain can sometimes treat uncertainty as danger. A deadline feels like danger, a comparison feels like danger, a new technology feels like danger, a relative's comment feels like danger, and when the parent's brain goes into threat mode, the child often feels it. Not because the parent is doing something wrong intentionally, but because anxiety travels. It travels through tone, through speed of speech, through repeated reminders, through facial expressions, through silence, through the heavy feeling in the room. And when a child's brain senses danger, it does not think deeply first. It looks for safety first. A stressed brain looks for safety before clarity always. That is the neuroscience we must remember. In career decisions, the emotional state of the family becomes part of the decision architecture. If the room feels panicked, the child may protect, avoid, argue, freeze, or rush. But if the room feels calm, the child can explore, reflect, ask questions, and think more honestly. Fear may alert us, but calm helps us decide. Imagine there is a smoke in the kitchen. Even if only one small thing is burning, everyone starts coughing. In the same way, when anxiety fills the home, everyone starts reacting, even if the career decision itself can be handled step by step. So the goal is not to remove concern, the goal is to stop concern becoming the smoke in the room, right? So how do we stay calm without becoming casual, right? Let us use the calm method. C is for catch the trigger. Before you speak to your child, ask yourself, what triggered me? Was it a WhatsApp message, a relative's comment, a deadline, a LinkedIn post, a discussion with my colleague, a real reel about AI, another child's achievement? This one question is powerful because it separates your child from the trigger. Many times the child did nothing in that moment. The trigger came from outside, but the pressure landed on your child. So catch it first. Second is A. A is for ask, fact or fear. Let us say you saw a message saying applications closing soon. Ask yourself, is there an actual deadline we need to act on, or did this message simply make me feel late? If there is a real deadline, note it down calmly. If it is fear, name it honestly. You can say to yourself, I am not dealing with a crisis, I am dealing with anxiety right now. This helps the brain slow down and it helps the conversation in the room become more neutral. L is for lower the emotional temperature. Do not start a career conversation when your body is already in panic. Take 10 minutes, drink water, write down the concern, maybe, step away from the phone and then decide what to say. Because if your nervous system is loud, your words will carry that loudness even if your volume is normal, right? You may say, I am only asking, but the child may feel something is wrong. So lower the emotional temperature before you enter the room with your child. M is for move. Move to one next step. When parents are anxious, they ask 10 questions at once. What have you decided? Which college? What entrance exam do you want to prepare for? What do you know? What have you learned? What have you researched? What backup? What if this doesn't work? The child becomes overwhelmed. Instead, choose one next step. Let us check the actual deadline. Let us understand one career properly. Let us speak to someone in that field. Instead, choose one next step. Maybe let us check the actual deadline. Or let us understand one career properly. Let us speak to someone in the field. Maybe let us list what we know and what we don't know about the career. Let us book a structured clarity conversation. One calm next step is better than 10 anxious questions. This is how families move from fear-led pressure to evidence-led clarity. Now imagine the same parent receiving another WhatsApp message. Earlier, she would have panicked. She would have immediately called to her child or had another conversation and asked, do you know everyone has started planning in your friend circle? But this time she paused. She asked, what triggered me? This is a conversation she needs to have with herself. She realizes that this message made me feel late. Then she asks, is this fact or fear? She checks the date. There is no emergency, so she waits. Later that evening, instead of saying, are you serious? She says, I saw something about admissions today and I got a little worried. But instead of panic, let us understand one thing clearly this weekend. Right? That one sentence changes emotional climate. The child does not feel attacked. The parent does not feel helpless. The conversation becomes calmer. And slowly, career planning becomes less about fear and more about structure. That is what we want. Not careless parenting, calm parenting. Not delayed decisions, clearer decisions. Not fear in the room, but evidence on the table. To help you begin, download the Calm Career Decision Check-in sheet, which is linked below. Use it before your next career conversation with your child. Not after the argument, but before the conversation begins. Actually, ask yourself what triggered, an anxiety in you or a fear in you. You need to find out if this is a fact or fear. What evidence do you need to gather is the next step. What, is the next calm step to gather that evidence. And if career conversations at home are becoming anxious, circular or confusing, your family may need a more structured clarity process. That is what we do through our career success strategy system at Next Moves. When fear is high, families usually search more, ask more people, and collect more opinions. But what they actually need is structured evidence about the child. So we help families move from fear-led decision making to validated clarity by understanding the child's strengths, personality, motivations, interests, decision readiness, and the real-world career fit. If this way of understanding your child's brain helped you, subscribe to Career Crafting Conversations. Every episode is designed to help parents move from pressure and confusion to clarity, trust, and better career decisions. And in the comments, tell me one career fear you want to separate from facts. Share this episode with another parent who is carrying a lot of worry about their child's future. Remember, your fear shows that you care, but your calm helps your child think better. So let your worry become a signal to gather evidence, not a signal to pressure your child. I'm Preethi Durga signing off from Career Crafting Conversations, where we don't just talk about careers, we create fulfilling futures.